Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Shadavia and this is Oshi Budgets, where I talk about all things money, budgeting, and savings related. So if any of that is content that you may be into, do me a favor and give today's video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel and don't forget that notification bell so you don't miss the next time I post. By the title of today's video, you can see I am going to be sharing how to save for sinking funds when you just simply don't have enough money. Now, in today's video, I am going to be talking about what sinking funds are, why sinking funds are important, and how you can possibly save for your sinking funds when you, again, simply just don't have enough money. So if you want to know how you can make your money enough and still save for your sinking funds, then just keep watching today's upload. Now, if you're a beginner to sinking funds or you just don't quite understand the concept, the reasoning behind it, or even the definition behind sinking fund, then in the most simplest form and the best way that I could possibly explain it to you is a sinking fund is a category that you set money aside for a specific goal over a specific period of time. So think of something like Christmas, for example. Christmas is a time where you're gonna spend quite a bit of money, and instead of forking it out all at one time just to protect your budget, you want to save for it over a period of months. So let's say that could mean putting $50 aside each month up until Christmas to reach your goal. There's so many ways that you can actually calculate your sinking funds monthly amount, weekly amount, but I'll talk a little bit more about that later in a video. As I mentioned, the holiday time is usually when we typically spend a lot of money, and saving money over a few months is, again, a lot better than just paying for such a large expense at a time. Now, if you can afford to pay for that large expense at a time, kudos to you. I personally cannot, so I'm not going to recommend you guys do that. I am going to advise that you save money a little bit over time and then still be able to reach that large savings goal. So creating a sinking fund, again, can just help you when it's time to make those larger purchases. We all know how unpredictable life can be, and I always say it on my channel, but you can just never be too prepared, and it's always best, in my opinion, to be a little prepared than none. So you may not be able to hit your sinking fund goals because you already don't have enough money, but at least you've tried and you put things aside so that you can put money towards those sinking funds. So some of the reasons that you may actually need to create a sinking fund or save money for a sinking fund is car issues, because we all know we have them. Medical bills may come up. You may have to repair things in your home. Guys, the sinking funds that you need are really endless. Holidays are a really big one. That I say we just spend so much money at a time, and it's a lot better for our budget if we're planning ahead and being prepared at the same time. So if you're not prepared, you may find yourself like using your credit cards or even digging into your emergency fund, and we really just don't want to do that. Like I said, we want every dollar to have a purpose. We want every dollar to have a purpose, and just be prepared, as much as you can. So now that we covered like what sinking funds are and why they're important, I just want to give you guys 5 tips on how you can still save for these sinking funds even when you don't have enough money left over, maybe because you've already taken care of your bills or priorities, and you just don't have enough to allocate towards some of these future expenses or future savings goal. So today, that's what we're going to be talking about. The first thing that we need to consider or do, or the first tip that would actually give you when you don't have enough money left over to save for your sinking funds as well, you're gonna have to categorize. So categorize Okay, so categorize your sinking fund. Now the best thing about this first tip is that it is going to be based off of your own personal budget. So it is what works for you and what are some things that you like to save for. Like, only you know exactly what expenses that you usually spend a lot of money for and could be worth, saving over a period of time in small amounts so that you can still, you have those expenses. It's just that it's not such a big impact on your budget. Now, if you're new to budgeting or you don't really know like what sinking funds you need, I did create a video on the 5 sinking funds that you need in 2023 that I think that will really help protect your budget. So if you haven't seen that video, I'll make sure to link it in the description box below. But a lot of the sinking funds that I mentioned are very common ones. As I mentioned, this is going to be based off your personal budget, but a lot of them, the sinking funds that we have, is going to be kind of the same. Like I mentioned, car maintenance. Most people drive a car. Most people have car expenses, whether that be registration, oil changes. That is something common that's most people. Another one is like holidays. So maybe you don't celebrate Christmas, but you celebrate, Thanksgiving or Valentine's Day or Easter, whatever holidays is definitely a time that you want to have some kind of sinking fund, so that you're not, putting so much out at one time. Now, once you've categorized your sinking funds or decided which sinking funds work best with your budget, then the next thing you're going to want to think about, or the next tip that I want to give you, is going to be the time frame. So you need to decide if your sinking fund actually has a time frame or not. Now, this is going to really help you calculate how much and how often you actually need to save money for these sinking funds. So if you are paid on a monthly basis or you just want to save monthly, you can do that. If it's weekly, bi-weekly, there's not a set way for you to save for your sinking fund. And again, the whole point of today's video is to show you it doesn't have to be a set amount each time. The goal is to just put something in the envelope each time. So again, it may not be like $50 or $100, because me personally, I cannot sit $400, $500 aside each month for a sinking funds. Like, I'm just going to be completely realistic with you guys and honest with you guys. And a lot of people cannot, do that. So I wanted to create this video to show you guys that even without doing, $150 at a time, even put in $1 or $5 at a time, even that adds up, you guys. And so don't be discouraged that you don't have enough money left over and feel like you can't save, because you can. You just have to, figure out different ways to make that goal happen. So once we've determined our time frame, then the next tip that I'm going to give you is going to be as it relates to extra income, you guys. So the best thing about this step or this tip is that it's extra. It's extra and it's unexpected and it's unbudgeted for it. So it would be a good way for you to save money when you already don't have enough money. So when you get extra income in, again, you're not having to put it towards bills. You're not having to put it towards, expenses that you already have, because you've done that with the money that you have or with your paycheck. Whenever you get extra income, it's the perfect time to allocate even a small amount towards those sinking funds. It doesn't have to be the full thing. So let's say you get an extra $20, right? You don't have to put the full $20 towards your sinking funds if that's not what you want to do. The luxury of having the $20 as extra income is that you can put the extra towards your sinking funds if that's what your heart desires. So when, again, you have that extra, this is a perfect time for you to put it towards your sinking funds if you don't have enough, or feel like, hey, I haven't been able to contribute to my sinking funds, but now I can because I have something extra. So that's the third tip that I'll give you when you don't have enough for your sinking fund, is just using the extra income towards your sinking funds if you can or if you want to. The fourth tip that I am going to give you is going to be prioritize, and I hope I spelled that right. So you want to prioritize your sinking fund depending on the time, right? So if you, again, just already don't have enough, because that's what today's video is about. It's not about saving for your sinking fund. It's how to make it work when you don't have enough, and that is going to come with prioritizing your sinking fund. Now, you may not be able to put the same amount aside each time, but depending on the time, your priority for your sinking funds may change. So for example, let's say we're already in the month of February and you want to save for Valentine's Day. I would say that's about 2 weeks away, and I'd probably say wait until next year and just go ahead and do what you're gonna do. But let's just say, for example, it is, you know, you have been saving for Valentine's Day, but you have other sinking funds. Now, when you don't have enough, you're gonna have to prioritize, or you may want to prioritize Valentine's Day for this go round, right? Because that's what's going to be coming up first. That's what you're going to need the funds for first. And it's better to go ahead and have those funds aside, again, versus, you know, just kind of forking out all that money at one time. So that is going to be a case by case basis. You can, you know, choose to focus on one at a time. Maybe it's two at a time. The whole goal is just to kind of prioritize your sinking funds and not give, you know, you may have 5, right? And then you want to give 25, 25, 25, 25, 25, like just to make it even across the board. But if that sinking fund category is coming up first, the main idea is just to kind of prioritize that. So instead of giving each of those 25, maybe you just give that one, you know, 50 or 75, and then split the 25 amongst the rest. That way you can reach your goal for your current priority sinking fund. And some people categorize their sinking funds highs and lows, so they'll make sure that their high priority sinking funds get funds first, and then the low priority kind of gets like whatever is left over. So that's another way you can do it, but you want to make sure that you're prioritizing your sinking funds so that you're still able to save for your sinking funds when you just don't have enough money. And the last tip that I'm going to give you guys is going to be adjust. So you're gonna need to adjust as needed. The sole purpose of each sinking fund is just to have the money when you need it. So you have to obviously save for that over time. So when it's time to make those big purchases and make those big expenses, you have the money already saved to supplement for that. So even if it's a little bit, as I mentioned, it's better than nothing, and it's sure a lot better than paying the full price up front or putting on a credit card and going further into debt. So that's just my opinion, and these are just my 5 steps on how you can actually save for sinking funds when you don't make enough money. So if you made it this far in the video, let me know which sinking fund has the highest savings goal and how much it is for you. If you enjoyed today's video, as always, give it a thumbs up, you guys. Subscribe to the channel and don't forget that notification bell so you don't miss the next time I post. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate your time and your continued support, and I'll see you guys in my next upload. Bye.